Hello, movie friends. It's Ryan, your host of the podcast. There will be movie reviews. Um, I'm really excited for today because we're going to be talking about two incredible, influential, awesome movies of our time. And with me today, I have the great Noah Shigeras, a good friend of mine. Noah, why don't you introduce yourself to everyone?
Yeah, hi. Thanks for having me. So I'm Noah Shigeris, and I am a huge fan of Marvel, Star Wars, like just cinema in general.
Yeah.
And I'm excited to talk about it.
Yeah. So, what movies are we going to be talking about today, Noah?
Um, Fuck. Infinity. We're gonna be talking about Avengers: Infinity War and Avengers: Endgame.
Awesome. Yeah. So, I'll just give you guys brief introduction about the two movies, just so we're prepared and know what we're talking about. So, here we go. So, Infinity War. We'll talk about that movie first. So, Infinity War came out in the spring of 2018. This film is directed by Joe and Anthony Russo, written by Christopher Marcus and Steve McFeely. This movie was nominated for one Oscar for Best Visual Effects. Came in at number one at the box office with just over $2 billion. So I remember this film being so big and just so important for that year, and it was the biggest movie of that year. And so this movie stars Robert Downey Jr., Chris Evans, Mark Ruffalo, Chris Hemsworth, Scarlett Johansson, and Josh Brolin as the great Thanos, the great villain of this movie. um yeah, so obviously there are a lot of more great actors for this movie, and this film brought every single character from Doctor Strange, the Guardians of the Galaxy, to friggin' Spider-Man, and put them all into one movie. This is just Avengers on crack, man. Look at the
Tons.
poster.
They advertised it as the biggest like cinematic crossover ever,
It is,
and
yeah.
it was.
It was insane. And I remember seeing it in the theaters and just being blown away. And that was actually the first time I ever met you, Noah, is or one of the first times I think I met
One
you
of
is
them.
my friends and I went and saw Infinity War, and we went into the theater that you were in just before we were about to see it. And we saw you, and we came in and you had just finished the
Right.
movie.
It just finished. Like the credits just rolled and I was blown away, like shocked. I remember being a little upset. Like they like this massive cliffhanger.
Yeah.
And I went to see the movie alone because I'm one of those guys who
Yeah.
doesn't mind going to see movies alone.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
yeah, I just
I
went.
I just remember seeing you, and you looked like you just went through like a panic attack, like a freak out attack. Your heart was, I could tell you were like sweating. You're about to have an asthma attack or something. And it made it a lot more intense for Cole and Nathan, who have actually been on the show before. You guys, all the audience members, you guys know them if you've listened to the previous episodes. And I was watching it with them, and I was so nervous because I was thinking, oh my God, what happened? Why was that guy Noah Shigeras freaking out like that? And it all made sense at the end. It all made sense. But we'll get to that ending in a little bit. Let's talk about the very beginning of the film. I think it's pretty. It's when I got chills as soon as the film starts.
Well, just in the opening credits, it doesn't play the classic Marvel, like the epic music it plays with the Marvel Studios logo.
Exactly.
It's the call out from the ship Thor was on, the Asgardians.
Yeah, exactly. And what little thing is the director of the original Thor from 2011, he's the guy speaking. He's going, Mayday, Mayday. The Asgardian ship or whatever is actually Kenneth Branagh, who directed the original Thor, and he's speaking into just a little and he's speaking into um the mic or whatever, and into the radio, and telling
Yeah,
everyone
that's
to come.
interesting.
Yeah, yeah. And that scene is just it gets you into that mood right away. It's, oh my God, something crazy is happening. It's
Mhm.
not right at the bat, like
Like
the Avengers or Age of Ultron, where they start off with a crazy intense action sequence. This is just introduction to crazy
No,
Thanos. So
it's the post of a battle that already happened that we didn't get to see with the
exactly.
Black Order and the introduction of the Black Order with the characters like Ebony Maw, Corvus Glaive, all of those big guys.
Yeah,
Um, it's
exactly.
crazy seeing all the dead bodies that they just, I guess, kind of just easily killed because of how powerful they all are.
Yeah, it shows the power of Thanos and his in the Black Order, and this is where we're introduced to the great character of Thanos. So I think we need to talk about Thanos as a character. He's at of our time. He's probably the best known villain. Um, I can't think of any other villain that really compares to him or is as well known
Well,
as
maybe
Thanos.
Darth Vader, maybe.
Darth Vader, yeah, Darth Vader,
Uh,
or Joker from like the Dark
right.
Knight.
Like
Uh,
the big top five that everybody knows.
yeah, it would definitely
Yeah.
have to be probably Thanos, Darth Vader, the Joker. Who else could be on there? Um, I can't think. Loki would probably have to be on there because he's
I
a
was
pretty
thinking Loki too.
yeah, but he's more of an anti-hero.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Thanos is a really, really interesting character because some people might argue that his ideas and his ways of thinking, he's known as the Mad Titan, um, are correct. So, what is Thanos's motive, Noah? What does Thanos want to do?
So Thanos wanted to kill half the universe to like just make
Balance,
everything
yeah.
balanced. Yeah. And he was right. Like the universe was overpopulated, especially on like certain planets.
Hmm.
And he says to Gamora in the movie, like, kids have known nothing but full bellies because there's been enough food for everybody to go around.
Exactly.
And we even saw that in a bit of Endgame at the start, like how much the climate has changed. I remember they were saying that there were whales in New York because of like the less pollution after the 5 years. But
Exactly.
yeah,
Yeah, he talks about how, one this entire half would just prosper and be happy once half of all living things were destroyed or killed. Technically, I guess they don't die, they turn to ashes, but his way and his method people can side on and think, and it's also that's one of the reasons why his villain is so appreciated is because he has this really really strong motive, whereas many villains in pulp culture today, they tend to just want to kill, they just want to be the ruler, which is seen before, whereas Thanos, he doesn't, at the end he doesn't want to be the ruler of the universe.
yeah.
He believes
And
in something. He
that's what
believes
makes a good villain is that a villain that you can think about and is he really that bad? Or
exactly. Exactly.
yeah,
Yeah. And you could tell his strength too when he faces off Hulk at the very beginning of the film.
yeah,
He kills what's
Heimdall.
Heimdall, yeah, Heimdall. And even in kills Loki, and then Thor has no chance against him. Hulk faces him, and even Ebony Maw goes, "Let him have his fun," like that,
Mm,
letting him know that Thanos can obviously destroy him. And in the end, he like takes Thor or Hulk down. He takes him down,
right.
and
I have this in my notes that like when I first saw it, I thought that Hulk could have put up more of a fight,
yeah,
but I think that Thanos just finishing him off so quickly just shows how much of an absolute unit he is
yeah, I know.
to to get Hulk like that.
Joe and Anthony Russo, the directors, even announced before. I remember hearing this that Thanos is actually stronger than the Hulk. They announced that um, to audiences and the people watching the film, and I was like thinking, like, oh, what's that gonna mean? What's gonna happen to Hulk? And then eventually you see Hulk going through a lot of struggles in this film, and
Yeah, lots of
having to deal with performance anxiety. Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
just
character development with the Hulk
character development.
from
Exactly.
like Thor Ragnarok and
Yeah.
first Incredible Hulk.
Yeah,
Yeah,
this film we see a lot of development. Like it kind of takes place like with the same structure of after Civil War has happened. So a lot has changed since that one. And so we see, Tony and Captain America aren't on speaking terms. The Avengers have broken up and it's not looking good. In this entire film, actually, which is pretty interesting, Captain America and Iron Man don't even meet each other in this entire film,
I
which is
know.
interesting.
I remember when I went into it, I was expecting them to have like a big reunion, like for the final battle.
Yeah, I
But
know. But yeah, there's Guardians of the Galaxy don't even meet like Spider. Oh yeah, that's no, they meet Spider-Man. They don't even meet like the Wakandans or
right.
anyone. Yeah, so those are the two battles that take place is up on Titan and then in Wakanda. Um, but yeah, what else is there?
Well, I mean that we talked about like the very first few minutes of the film. There's like a whole 2.5 hours
I
left of the
know.
movie.
Yeah, and yeah, so next we see Doctor Strange character I was watching today. I was watching Doctor Strange. And
Oh, were you?
in this film he's much more developed and you can tell he has much more intelligence with um sorcery and he's known as the Sorcerer Supreme.
Yeah,
And we see Wong.
he was almost like a different character at the start of Doctor Strange, like a really rich, wealthy surgeon, and
Yeah.
then like his character grows a lot.
Yeah, and they even state the filmmakers or the writers of the film even talk about how um, he's now considered one of the more powerful characters of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and the writers also wanted him to have come off as sort of the adult in the room throughout the movie, and that's kind of what he is. Him and Tony have this great um, chemistry between each other. They don't really get along, and they don't really like each other, and they make fun of each other. And he Doctor Strange even says he states like he goes, "I'm here to protect your reality, douchebag," and he's like
Mhm.
they're making fun of each other. Um, but yeah, I think his character Doctor Strange is really cool in this film. But yeah, if we want to talk about some of the fight scenes, I think
Mhm. Well, now that we're on Doctor Strange right now, when what on Titan, when Doctor Strange and Thanos were facing off, I personally think that Doctor Strange would have been able to defeat Thanos if Thanos didn't have 4 Infinity Stones on him.
yeah,
Because
100%.
like it just because Doctor Strange was able to put like what's the word? Like face off against all those Infinity Stones.
Yeah,
Thanos was just his sorcery, and that just shows how powerful he is.
yeah. So yeah, I want to talk about that, but there's that one scene that I love is when Hulk is like he has crashed through the temple, I guess, or
The
um
Sanctum.
the sanctum, yeah. And he's like goes, Thanos is coming, Thanos is coming. I
Mm-hmm.
just that scene was like so intense and
Mm-hmm.
so crazy. And then
And
it
then after
flashes, yeah.
it does goes the logo and it
It,
flips. It's like
it,
Infinity War.
yeah, it has the big music.
Oh
Da, da,
yeah,
da, da, da. Yeah, and I
yeah.
love that part. Um, Again, with these characters coming together, you talk about how there's that scene after where Ebony Maw and what's his name?
I
Corvus
forget.
Glaive.
The Chorus Glaive is the guy who Black Widow stabs.
Oh, it must have
Um,
been
it's the big guy, like the
yeah,
monster.
yeah, and they arrive on Earth, and I love that scene where uh, they just hear the sound and Doctor Strange's hair is moving, and they come out, and Iron Man finally has that
Oh
nanotech
yeah,
armor, and that's so cool. That was
man.
awesome. I love
His
that part.
nanotech is so cool, and like just little details. Like he goes and takes off his glasses, and
Yeah,
his glasses absorb into the suit for
yeah,
his nanotech.
yeah.
It's
I know what
yeah.
you mean. Um, yeah, and that fight scene's pretty good. And this is when we're introduced to um, Spider-Man coming into
Oh
this.
yeah.
And I think we got to talk about the Iron Spider, man.
Yeah.
I think that is one of the dopest suits in the
Yeah.
entire. Like I freaked out when I saw that. Like he goes, "Mr. Stark, it smells like a new car in here," and
Wow.
that,
Yeah, that's a
it's
really good impression of Tom Holland.
oh, thank you, thank
Yeah.
you.
But yeah, I think the Iron Spider suit is super cool. But I kind of what I'd prefer about it is if it was a little more vibrant. I think it's a little dark for Spider-Man. But
Mm. Well, we're introduced to it in the end of Spider-Man: Homecoming, and
yeah, that's true.
but he's not wearing it. But he comes in and he's wearing it finally, and that was pretty awesome. Um, I think that was pretty neat
Hmm.
for the film to do. And the Iron Spider is such a it's in the comics too,
Right. It
as you
comes
know,
straight from the comics when Spider-Man fought in the Civil War on Iron Man's side.
and it's pretty
Um,
accurate too. There's
It's
like
yeah, it is. Especially the four legs that come out of his back. That was like the big part of the
oh
Iron
that was
Spider.
so cool too. Yeah.
Mhm.
Um yeah, there's a couple things. The Iron Spider is just it's pretty cool, but after that scene is when we're introduced to the Guardians of the Galaxy, man.
Oh yeah, they
That's
come in with Rubber Band Man.
that
Oh,
was awesome. So I love that whole part of it. You know, Guardians of the Galaxy um they have that great sequence where you know you're reminded of their characters again, where where they're singing "Rubber Band Man," flying through space. Um, yeah, it's awesome. It's pretty cool. But the cool thing about that, so James Gunn, all the monologue that uh the Guardians of the Galaxy are doing, all the dialogue between all between the characters is all written by James Gunn.
really?
Yeah, it's all of it is. Yeah, so that's not the original writers who wrote the
Wow,
yeah,
that's cool. I like that.
but it
Jeez.
makes sense too to do that because
Hmm.
I
They're his
think
characters. Like
yeah, exactly.
the yeah,
Um but yeah, they're they're his characters and it makes sense. You know, you have that appreciation for them and if they, you know, who knows if the other writers had written for the Guardians of the Galaxy, it might have been different and not the same as what we know. You know, the dialogue between those characters would have been could have been a lot different and not how we saw them
right.
before.
Probably like less comedic because like just the little things back and forth, like Quill worrying about him being fat. Like how
Yeah.
Rocket says you're a sandwich away from being fat.
Yeah, he actually I noticed something. Well, like I noticed Chris Pratt had gained a little bit of weight. He
He
did
was a little
actually.
chunky in
He
that
was
movie.
just a little bit, yeah. He was technically like one sandwich away from fat. Like he's not fully there, but he's almost there. Um
Like
uh
not what he was in Guardians of the Galaxy 1.
yeah, I know he's
Yeah.
freaking jacked in that movie. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
From Andy Dwyer.
Oh yeah.
Sweaty and fat Andy Dwyer from Parks and Rec, but yeah, so I have a question. So how do you feel where the scenes like play out a lot? They have from all the different characters where they have Guardians, Doctor Strange, Spider Man, Iron Man, and
Right.
then
Lots of
two,
different storylines going on.
yeah, and at the same time, which can be confusing,
Mhm.
but Marvel movies do a great job at being able to put all of this together and do it well. And then we have say Vision, Wanda, um, Don Cheadle's War Machine, Hulk, Captain America, Falcon, Black Widow, all those characters
Yeah.
together, and then the
The main
Wakandans.
gang in Wakanda and then
Yeah,
yeah, it
and so
was
how do you feel? I have a question though. How do you feel
yeah.
about Vision as like a human now, technically? Because in this like at the beginning where we see Wanda and Vision in the house or in their apartment or whatever, Vision's back to being a human, I guess, or is in human form. Like, how do you feel about that though? Like,
Right.
I don't know.
Well, a comment that Tony makes is that Vision's evolving
Yeah,
and I think that like that foreshadows Vision in like his human form. And then I don't know, it's really cool. And then especially after watching WandaVision, like WandaVision just finished, it was really sweet seeing Wanda and Vision together before like Vision
Yeah.
dies,
Yeah.
but I like it.
Yeah. Do you remember all the yeah, I remember seeing that scene and thinking it was pretty interesting
Right. I
to
was confused though.
yeah. And also another thing that's interesting is Wanda has lost her accent.
Yeah, well, she lost it in Civil War. She, I, I don't know what happened with that. She a little bit. I remember that was super cool.
Pardon me?
Her accent, it comes back in WandaVision a little
Yeah,
bit.
it does. It does when she's not in the
Right.
she's not in the little realm or world.
And when
Yeah.
she's mad, she gets it. So
Yeah, but I think it like in Civil War it's less, and then it progresses over time. Um, but yeah, and then we see there's a bunch of different changes from the other films now. Black Widow, blonde, and I think that's to cover up because after
that's
Civil War,
interesting. Yeah.
yeah, and then also so is and then Captain America has a beard, and wasn't his character's name Nomad or something like that? I'm pretty
Nomad.
sure that was like his code character name
Oh, I
in
don't
the
even
comics.
know.
In the comics,
Was it?
because
Okay.
yeah, that happens, and this is all after Civil War because and now he has a star taken off.
Yeah, that kind of symbolizes him like being like kind of a like he's against or the government doesn't like him because
Yeah,
he didn't send a
he's a
Sokovia
fugitive right
person.
now.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
and so and he's got no shield either. He has no shield. Um, too, which is a big part of Captain America. So he's not technically not really Captain America in at that part. But yeah, I think a key part of this film is the characters have changed so much, and with every character, yeah, you can see Black Widow, Thor has changed. His character has developed, and I think he's at like the top of his development in this film. And I think we should talk about that. There's that whole fight scene at the end, which is great, and we should get into that a little bit later. But um, I just love that. I love that so much. Do you remember like watching press and press releases and like scenes of in interviews like that before watching Infinity War?
Uh kinda.
Yeah. Well,
I
you
yeah, I remember this like all the actors being interviewed on like tours and stuff.
yeah. Well, something interesting. Yeah, there's a little fun fact. So Tom Holland was
Okay.
actually well, he was not allowed to read the script for this movie since he
Hmm.
revealed too many secrets for Spider-Man: Homecoming. And in one of the promotion videos for the movie, several of the cast members are in an interrogation room, refusing to reveal any spoilers. And Tom Holland's mouth is taped shut, and they have it like taped shut in this and a part of it, yeah, in one of the interviews. And then Mark Ruffalo is also really worse with it. And something funny is like he revealed that he was given a fake script due to his habit of accidentally spoiling past Marvel movies, and he jokingly claimed in an interview that the fake script was better than the original one. Yeah.
No, I remember a clip of Mark Ruffalo and Don Cheadle,
Oh yeah.
and Mark Ruffalo was like, "Wait till you," or like he says something that was like, "Everybody dies," and Don Cheadle was like, "Dude."
You know,
So,
I've gotten to the point where I thought that that was fake. I thought it
really?
was staged. I thought it was, you might think differently, but I thought it was staged because he goes it's kind of perfect because I watched it before seeing Infinity War, and I was thinking like, "Oh my god, wait, what does that mean?" He said everyone dies, not everyone. And in the end of Infinity War, not everyone
Not
dies.
everybody, like half.
Yeah, exactly. And
So.
so he goes, everyone dies. Dude. Not everyone, not everyone. And
Yeah, it might have been fake, but
yeah. How do you think the comedy is in this film though? Like
oh, it's. I think it's good. Like I laughed. I LOL'd, laughed out loud a few times. Like every time I watch it.
it's
Like
yeah. It's especially with any any comedic parts or any Guardians of the
Yeah,
Galaxy
right. And
parts,
Thor.
especially with them when they have good chemistry with like Tony and in Spider-Man and Doctor Strange.
Oh yeah, Tom Holland, Robert Downey Jr. have really good on-screen chemistry.
They do,
So
definitely.
yeah, they flow together really well. And
You know that line, Drax's line, "I'll do you one better." Why is Gamora? Yeah,
yeah,
he goes,
that one.
yeah. So that was actually ad-libbed by Dave Batista.
Mm-hmm.
And in an interview with Dave Batista, he says that Chris Pratt actually gave him the idea for the line. And an interesting thing. So Tom Holland said that although he's a big fan of Chris Pratt, he loved working with him. Their scenes together were often challenging. Pratt's tendency to joke in and out of character made it hard for Tom Holland to keep a straight face, which is,
Yeah,
and I've
I
heard
saw
that.
that.
Yeah.
And yeah, like just all the comedic parts, like especially that one sequence where Tony's talking about the plan and Drax is yawning. He's like, are you yawning right now?" And just like kick or take, was it kick names, take ass?
Yeah.
Yeah, just
Kick names, take ass. Yeah.
silly like one-liners.
Yeah, it's good. It's really good. Um, I just remember, yeah, and I think we should talk about because I want to get to Endgame soon, and then we can talk about the comparison
Right,
between the
right.
two. But I think we got to talk about um, that final fight scene. So obviously, Thor's character has developed, and he's gotten freaking Stormbreaker.
Stormbreaker, yep.
Man, that thing is fucking dope, man.
It is
Holy
so
shit.
cool.
That thing is
Oh,
awesome. And it can yield the Bifrost. I think that's what he said, or something like
yeah,
that. It can
summon.
summon the Bifrost and go to like different planet to planet with it. And that's just awesome. And that's what's helping his character become Thor, like the freaking god of thunder. He is like incredible. He's so awesome. He's awesome with
Hmm.
that. And
Every time that scene comes in where he's coming, where Thor, Groot, and Rocket are
Rocket.
coming down from the Bifrost, and his hammer comes out, and it's the Avengers theme, and then he's like, "Bring me Thanos," and
Yeah.
and he just jumps up, and it's kind of like there's like this boom when he jumps, and then he
Yeah.
slams his hammer down, like just like my full body chills every single time.
I know. Yeah,
One
it's pretty awesome.
one of
It's
the coolest scenes I've ever.
yeah. Another scene I love is when they're like when the Wakandans are crying, he goes when they're crying like "You Bombay" and all those like little lines are and M'Baku comes in with his team and they're about to
Oh
fight.
yeah,
And I love that scene where um Captain America and Black Panther are just like running and they're like so much faster
oh
than
yeah,
everyone. And
because
that's a little reference to Captain America Civil War where they're running with the cars, right? You know what I'm
hmm
and so what they do is they use like in airports how they have those walking carpets or whatever I guess you call them like
yeah,
those and
those are
that
fun.
that just make you go faster.
Yeah,
And so they use those, but they speed them up, and then they use that and implement that into the scene, and you can see them. It actually kind of looks like it because they're just going so fast and it's so quickly, and it's awesome. And I love that part of the movie where it
yeah,
really shows off this extra strength that Black Panther and Captain America have.
right.
Um,
Because like they have the super soldier serum and the Black Panther flower thing.
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah, it's awesome. And I think another great part of that is Wanda comes out of nowhere and she just like her character has that big scene and a lot of characters have that their little
right,
scene where it's
right.
just like whoa, like where'd that come from? And she like just destroys like an entire army.
Yeah, or that like that thing on wheels that like those I don't even know. They're like
They
these
like grinded up the
blades.
dirt. Yeah.
Yeah. And so like she just picked one up with her powers and took out so many. Like she's so cool and powerful.
Yeah. And Okoye,
Koye.
she goes, why was she up there all this time? And
Yeah.
yeah, and yeah, that's perfect. Because like, yeah, why was she there of all this time? She's using all those crazy powers. Um, But yeah, thing that was kind of controversial with this film is the ending of how it's so dark, and it's
That's what I love
so
about it, though.
that I think that yeah, that's what I love. You've never seen a Marvel movie where this many characters die. It's and
Hmm.
disappear. Um Tony has that guilt of feeling that it's his fault, and I think everyone has that feeling where
Oh
it's
yeah,
their fault. Um
like it's survivor's guilt. They all feel probably
yeah, exactly.
from
And
everybody dying.
seeing that they lost, and there's those heartbreaking scenes where what I love is that thunder that they have when they start to go away. They
Hmm.
have the thunder playing over, and
Right.
it's so good. And you see Thanos' true power. Obviously Thor's got to have that guilt because he has just taken
Hmm.
his axe and friggin' he goes, you should have gone for the
Oh yeah,
head.
that's like this whole like a big part of his character in Endgame is him being feeling guilty.
Yeah, because he should have gone for the head, and it's terrible what
Yeah.
happened because of that, and he ends up doing what he said he was going to do. He kills half of the
Yep.
living things in the universe, and he murders what trillions, I guess what they say, but it's definitely more than trillions.
Oh
It's
yeah.
hundred
Like
percent
the
more than
entire universe, like their
yeah.
galaxy.
I think it's
Um,
more than their galaxy. Like
you think
he
it's like the entire or not the multiverse, but like
Well,
the
I would
next
assume
galaxy
so
over.
because yeah, I think it would. Well, if he's talking about the universe, I wouldn't say it's the galaxies like our. I guess the Milky Way is our galaxy, right?
Yeah, and then there's
Yeah,
like the Andromeda galaxy, which is like our neighbor.
yeah, I would think because he's talking about the universe, but there's other universes too. There's multiple, but I think it
Hmm.
was just this universe that he's talking
Okay.
about that he's living in. But like he's and yeah, in that one scene where it's Tony's feeling that guilt, and where Mr. Stark, he's like, where
Hmm.
Spider-Man, oh my god, when Spider-Man dies,
Yeah, that was sad.
oh my god, and I was tearing up there. He's saying, I don't
Hmm.
want to go, I don't want to go. It's
Yeah. But
it's
before we get
terrible.
into the ending, I want to talk about Star-Lord freaking out on
Oh,
Thanos.
oh my god. Oh my god,
Yeah.
yeah.
So, like, what do you think about that? Like, do you think is it all his fault
Yeah, it is
or
all his fault. It's
it?
definitely if it well, I think that's important because that's something that people grieve over and get mad at. Just like, oh my god, if he didn't let his feelings.
I
Yeah, and when
know.
I'm watching that, I think of all the situations where they should have, like, Nebula's Nebula's just by herself doing nothing,
Yeah,
like
and
just
she's or
watching. She's
yeah, and
just like, my father killed Gamora,
mhm.
and but there's one little thing I need to talk about though, is Red Skull, man.
Oh. Oh, I freaked out when
I know.
I saw it.
I think everyone, but I remember like where there's that one stone that's missing, the Soul
Yeah, the
Stone,
Soul Stone. Oh yeah,
and
that was one of the biggest questions going into Infinity War. Like, how can Thanos get all the Infinity Stones if we've never
yeah,
seen the Soul Stone?
yeah, and it was like it was crazy. It was like
Mm.
I remember looking at Nathan and Cole and just going, "What the Red Skull, Red Skull, Red Skull."
No. Ah,
And
and
that was I kind of knew because at the end of First Avenger, he just goes up into space, and you're like, where
right.
did he go? He's not dead. And I remember after seeing the First Avenger and like talking about it with my friends, I'm like, we were all just like, he's not dead though. He's not. He just went up into space. He didn't see like his body get torn apart or die. He just went up into space, and now he's the keeper of the Soul Stone, and that was pretty intense. But
Yeah.
yeah, it
And
was.
also a fun fact, that's not the original actor
I
of
know.
Red
It's
Skull.
it's the original actor is Hugo Weaving.
Yeah, and
What
he didn't want to do it, I think. That was what
Yeah,
I heard.
what they used is this guy Ross Marquand from he's in the show The Walking Dead, and he's also this great like impressionist or impersonator, I guess. Yeah, and
Okay.
he does like a lot of celebrity impressions like that. And so I guess he could do a Hugo Weaving from and so he
Hmm.
did like a really good one there of
Yeah,
of
it looked just like. I mean, of
it's all
course.
CGI. It's all CGI. His
Oh,
character.
was Red Skull's CGI'd?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
Because yeah, and yeah, yeah, it is. Yeah,
Yeah, but
and
also I wanna give my opinion on Star Lord.
yeah,
And so with him, I remember like I originally was like, oh, it's all his fault. Why did he do that? But then I heard Chris Pratt in an interview. He was saying how like how he sympathized or yeah sympathized with Star Lord because like he lost his mom, his dad, or he had to kill his dad,
yeah,
his
Yondu.
his yeah Yondu, Gamora, and then he just lost Gamora, like the only person he loves and who loved him, and he was
Yeah,
just angry, and so like he yeah I don't know, but
yeah. Well,
still.
that the thing is, yeah. There's a little thing about that that doesn't make any sense. Is because it could have been stopped. Obviously, like they could have just stopped
Hmm.
him, like Nebula, which was like he could have still like been super mad at him, but he, you know, who was it? Yeah, Nebula is on the side just watching. She could have just been like seen him hit. She's like watching him hit Thanos, and she's just like watching him, and that she could have like intertwined
Hmm.
and just like got him and
Or
held him
even
back.
Tony could have, like, because Tony could have like grabbed him.
Yeah, I
Peter would
know.
have gotten it off,
I'm sure. Yeah, I'm
but
sure. Like
I don't know.
Spider-Man would have been fine
So
getting
many
it off.
like so many things, but I
Possibilities.
mean,
Yeah.
of course, he didn't. He'd hit him, and then now we have Avengers Endgame.
Yeah.
So,
Yes, that is true. So Avengers came out in again the spring
oh yeah,
of 2019. Again, directed by Joe and Anthony Russo, written by same writers Christopher Marcus and Stephen McFeely. Nominated for one Oscar for Best Visual Effects. Came in at number one at the box office that year, earning $2.7 billion, and now stands at what it was standing at number one. Uh, Highest grossing film of all time, but then just lost, I think it was yesterday, to Avatar.
yeah.
Again, Avatar came in at number one after the re-release in China.
Oh yeah,
And I was pretty sad about that because
yeah. I mean, it's it's whatever.
I know, yeah,
Like Avengers Endgame, it's only been out once, and it made about like 1.4 billion dollars in the opening weekend.
yeah,
I remember that.
yeah,
So that's kind of like that's more impressive than like
yeah.
because
Uh,
everybody.
Avengers Endgame is like it was the first film to reach over $1 billion in its opening weekend
Mhm.
in theaters, and that's pretty
Yeah.
crazy, man. That is pretty insane. And
And also before we get into it, I remember when the trailer dropped for Endgame,
yeah,
and I remember it was September or October.
yeah,
I was up early morning to go to swimming practice, and it was just called Avengers
yeah,
official trailer, like
yeah.
nothing, very basic. And then the name drop at the end, Endgame. I was freaking out.
Well, what they
Oh,
did, yeah, they say Endgame throughout the entire like all the other Avengers movie. They say it in what was they said it in
Age of
Age
Ultron.
of Ultron. They say it in the Avengers
Do they?
too. Yeah, he goes up there. Or no, that's in Age of Ultron. He goes up there.
Yeah.
That's the end game. Tony says that.
Hmm.
And but I'm pretty sure it's said in other movies too. I think it's no, it's said in Infinity War also. We're in the end game now.
Right, right.
Yeah. And
So,
I think it was Doctor Strange that said
right.
that.
But then Joe Russo, I remember he pulled a sneaky on us. He said the name of the title, or like the title of the next movie, was not set in Infinity War,
Yeah,
which
he
was just like a
did.
blatant lie.
Yeah. So for this film, Robert Downey Jr. was the only actor who read the entire script.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Which is like
And yeah,
kind of weird because like not even Chris Evans or Chris Hemsworth.
it's shot
So
in like such an interesting it's shot in such yeah, it's shot in such an interesting way. Like a lot of the time they're only allowed to see the script at when they're like right before shooting, and then they do their scene, but not the other scene. So they like, I remember Tom Holland, like he has no idea what's going on, which is kind of not good. Like, you kind of like, wow, the actors don't even know like what they're doing and how they're acting. Like, if they read the entire script, maybe they'd be able to develop their character better, and maybe they'd have a better performance. Not saying that their performances aren't good, but I mean, if they read the entire script, I'm sure it would have been a lot better. It could have been, at least, with the other possibilities and of for character
Maybe.
development. Whereas, like, I remember in like interviews after, like, Tom Holland's like saying, like, "Oh, I don't even know what the film's about. I have no idea what's gonna happen."
Well,
Don't
yeah, but
ask me.
also Tom Holland was like barely in it, right?
Yeah,
Only for the
it's
end.
it's actually pretty interesting. Well, no, he even for Infinity War, he was like that.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, it's pretty interesting though, because like Captain America in Infinity War, he's only in it for 6 minutes total.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's just pretty crazy.
It's interesting.
Yeah, and Gamora is the second highest for
Yeah.
Infinity War.
And
She is, I think it was,
Thanos is the highest,
yeah,
right?
it was 29 minutes for Thanos, and I think it was 19 minutes for Gamora, and she was second. Thanos is kind
Mhm.
of the main character in Infinity War, which
Yeah,
is
he
really
totally
interesting.
is.
It's more of a film about him,
Yeah, you
and
could call it Thanos.
yeah, whereas in Endgame, the film's more about um
Like the
the
Avengers.
Avengers, and or so the original Avengers, because the original Avengers
Yeah.
are the ones that survive,
Yeah.
and whereas like Thanos is barely in Avengers Endgame, and he's more of a side character, mainly for the last battle. But if we want to start with Avengers Endgame, we can talk about this. Intro is pretty good.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah, with
which one do you think was better, Infinity War or Endgame? The intros.
Endgame. Just coming it like and I forget the song. Is it called like Rockstar or
Dear Mr.
something?
Fantasy.
Dear Mr. Fantasy, yeah. Like it opening with that and then with Tony and Nebula
Yeah.
on the ship. It was
Well, yeah, and but the scene with
yeah.
where Clint and Hawkeye's,
Oh right, that
yeah,
scene. No, okay, yeah, I forgot about that. I almost like teared up right when that happened.
yeah, I
That was
know.
like sad when
I
his
saw
whole family died.
I saw Endgame with you. I remember.
Yeah, yeah, it was you, me, and Cole.
Yeah, and
Um,
that I liked it. I thought the song was interesting to it, but I have to go with Infinity War's better, because
mhm.
that Infinity War set the mood. I was like, oh shit, man, something's bad is gonna happen. I knew, yeah, I knew that something bad was gonna happen in Infinity War, but Endgame's final or intro is definitely good though too. But this is the one where we have three new characters, I guess. Ant-Man is in Endgame.
Oh yeah,
Um, he's a recurring character or main character,
yeah, yeah,
and Hawkeye as
yep.
Ronin,
And
and,
then
Captain Marvel.
Captain Marvel,
Yeah, how do you like
everyone's
Captain Marvel in
favorite.
this?
Like I'm not a Captain Marvel hater, but I didn't. I went into the movie Captain Marvel with really high hopes, and like I was like, oh, I think this is gonna be a good movie with a nice female, cool female character. It was
Yeah.
garbage. I did not like Captain Marvel, and then
It's so corny, and oh my god, man, it's
uh,
so corny and cheesy, and
uh
it's such an unlikable character. I'm
I
sorry.
know. Like
She's so it's the cheesy one-liners, like it's like higher, further, faster. Oh my
higher, further,
god.
faster, baby.
Shut the hell up. Like
No, but I think Captain Marvel is gonna become a better character in the future.
I think she's gonna
I
be a
think
lesbian.
that's a good bet. Her and Valkyrie, I think there were rumors of that.
Well, yeah, I might have to edit this
Um,
out, because, but but like her haircut is definitely a lesbian haircut. So
yeah,
yeah,
like, that was kind of weird. Like, uh,
yeah.
yeah, Captain Marvel, she's cool.
Nah, she isn't cool. She's the
Well,
only, okay. The final battle, I'll talk about that in a minute,
yeah.
because it is good. But Captain Marvel, she's like, just a like, get out of the way, man. Like, yeah, thank God she's not in it that much in Endgame. Like,
Hmm. I
but
remember
like,
I was worried that she was gonna be like a main character in it.
nah. Luckily, she's not. And like,
Yeah.
she thinks she's the shit, man. She does. You can tell she does. She's
Yeah.
like, you know what I hate more is like, why does she have to stand like by herself at the top in the end of Tony's funeral? Like she's like at the above the stage, above the stairs, above everyone, showing everyone that she's higher than everyone. Nah, shut the fuck up, man. No, chill.
Yeah, and I remember when she was first introduced, she was like, or I don't know, they were talking about Thanos, and then she said, "Well, this time you have me," or something like that. Or
It's total
and
Brie
then
Larson
yeah,
in that.
And then Don Cheadle's like, "All right, new girl, shut up."
Yeah, we're a team here. Like, yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. And yeah, I'll probably have to edit this because I'm gonna get some haters. Not that
maybe.
I have any people
No,
listening really, but still.
it's pretty
um,
hot topics.
yeah, hot topics. If you want to get back on track though,
Yeah.
with
So
um
Endgame,
with
the
Endgame,
opening. You're
the
on the
opening's good. I think, yeah, I personally think that Infinity War is better, but yeah, it starts off where I love how they built it up in a way where they defeat Thanos, but they end up um they end up killing him, but really, at
hmm
what did they win by killing him? Nothing.
Nothing. They kill Thanos. Done. 5 years later.
Yeah, exactly. They have the slow clip
Oh man,
5 years later.
I remember it was like a black screen. It was like 5, and I was like, no, years, no.
I
And
know
later,
that.
I was,
Yeah, and that whole scene of like them killing Thanos is only in the span of 20 minutes. So they have
mhm.
now 2 hours and 40 minutes left just to figure out how to get them back, and that's pretty intense, man. And it gets pretty good. How do you like the time travel concept?
I was about to ask you the same thing.
Yeah, I
I,
mean, yeah,
it's kind of like a touchy like topic subject,
exactly.
time travel, but I think they did it they did it in a good, enjoyable way. But there'll always be like time travel haters, but I don't like know how else. Or I couldn't come up with a better story other than like
Yeah,
time travel.
I'll tell you something interesting though.
Yeah.
Is uh the actors or the writers thought of the idea of so the end of Avengers Infinity War left the writers trying to write their way out of a corner while they just considered time travel as the answer. They also knew that that was the stupidest idea they could possibly have. But the Ant-Man films argued otherwise, so that's a big part of Ant-Man and the Wasp, as they offer up like seeds of a time machine and ultimately won them over as time travel allowed for multiple scenes highlighting the emotions of loss, reunion, and redemption. And that's a big part of this travel concept. It escalates and highlights loss, reunion, loss with say um, with Black Widow, reunion where Tony meets his father again.
That was a
Um,
really nice scene.
yeah, that was a good scene. And then redemption. I guess you could say another part with reunion is with where Captain America has reunion. You could also call that redemption, I guess, too, and redemption with
Right.
Thor because he's redeeming himself into
And he's worthy still with the
yeah, and becoming a better character. Um, and that's what kind of emulates this, creates that great idea of time travel and makes it much more easy to identify and uh, cope with. But after I watched it, I thought, it is a touchy subject because there's so many like, okay, but now what's going on with Thanos or what's going on with Loki? He caught
right. And we're gonna find out with the new Loki show
yeah.
soon. And
But
that'll
there's
be
so
very
many
interesting.
there's always questions with time travel and there's always
Hmm
other ideas and so many like possibilities with time travel to think of and it can be confusing too, which is
Like like do you think all these, because how it works is like every time you do something, it splits off into a branch timeline
yeah, so
that
there's
is
definitely a
different.
timeline where Thanos is still alive if you think
Oh
about it.
yeah.
So
And
like
so
I don't know,
it's
yeah.
it's kind of I don't know. It's weird. Maybe we'll like it'll touch on that with Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness.
Yeah, I'm
Like the
sure. Yeah,
multiverse, different timelines could be like kind of the same thing.
yeah, that'll be exciting. That'll be good. I'm sure.
Mhm.
Um, there's a couple key things that happen after that 5 years. So we see, um, Captain America. He's kind of at those little like meetings talking about, um, after they have, what did they call it, the blimp or whatever?
The blip, yep. Or
Blip. Yeah,
no, they call
that's after.
the
That's
blip
when.
is when they come back.
Yeah, I
I
guess
think
they just call this, like, I don't know what
the
they called
snap,
it. The snap.
probably.
Yeah, the snap. Yeah,
It's like they
exactly.
all know the events of what happened.
Yeah, and so it's pretty good with that. I have no like, Captain America. He's just helping out people that are
He's
struggling.
chilling with gay Joe Russo.
Yep. um, Black Widow. She's just like, I think she's basically just at the Avengers HQ doing really nothing. Um,
Maybe like a bit of depression, maybe.
Yeah, I was about to
I feel
say.
like she
I was
isn't.
gonna say depressed Black Widow is just
Yeah.
she definitely is facing depression. And then friggin' Captain Marvel, man, fucking that bitch is there, and she's, oh my god,
No, I
can't
like
stand her.
that. I mean, I didn't mind that scene with like everybody on the holograms, like with
Yeah,
Rocket,
yeah, that was good.
Okoye from Wakanda, and
Yep, War
yeah.
Machine's there. Yeah, um, yeah, it's good, and I I I kind of understand the idea of, implementing Paul Rudd's character, or Ant Man Scott Lang, into that, using the pin particles and using the idea of time travel, and that's good that they added that in. And it's pretty interesting how they like implement all these little scenes from little parts from other movies, and they are able to add it into. It's kind of clever how they are able to use like stuff from Ant-Man and the Wasp and implement
Right.
it into Endgame. Um,
Like how at the end of Ant-Man and the Wasp, like
oh
he
yeah, that
Scott
was
gets, yeah,
he's
like
stuck in there.
that was
So
that was like one of the best part, like one of the best scenes of the movie
it is, yeah, it
was
is
when
definitely,
Hank and Hope and Janet Van
yeah.
Dyne, they all get dusted while Scott's in the quantum realm
Oh
for
yeah,
5 years. But like that's where they get the time travel from. Is that Scott's like, oh, it felt like 5 hours.
yeah, exactly.
So,
And that's that whole idea of like, see you in a minute. I'll see you in.
yep.
Um, yeah, there's a couple of cheesy parts of this movie though. That's the thing, like,
You think?
whatever it takes, and like,
I
that.
think I think that's kind of cool. It's kind of like,
Yeah, I guess. Yeah,
mm.
yeah. I mean, it's, yeah, I guess so. There, but like the scene where they put their hands in and everything. That's like total. That's like total like Air Bud like type
Yeah.
shit. Like, like, yeah, that's
I
a
don't know. I
kind of
mean,
cheesy thing.
eh, it they it was
They
cool.
romanticize it, yeah.
It was cool because they all had like the things on their wrists, and then yeah.
Yeah, it's another cool thing is the suits. How do you like the suits?
Oh, they're sick. They're all essentially Ant-Man suits.
Yeah, they're all CGI too.
Yeah. Hang on. I'm getting a call from Cole. You can edit this out
I
later.
will.
All right. Let me just doing this. Okay.
All right, you good?
Yeah.
You
Okay.
good? All right.
Yep.
Yeah. But yeah, it's pretty good. Yeah, I mean the costumes are really interesting too because they're all CGI. Every single costume
Mm-hmm.
is all CGI, which is
I
interesting, and they
know,
look
right.
good.
They are
They look
cool
good.
suits. I like them.
Yeah, I
But yeah,
was pretty. Yeah,
like I was saying before, like they're all Ant-Man suits,
exactly.
really.
I do like the idea. The part of time travel that I do love is the scenes where they revisit themselves in other timelines
Mhm.
and especially in New York. New York is
Yeah,
probably by
like
far the
when
best.
Cap and Cap faced off, that
Yeah.
was that was cool. Like that could have been bad.
Yeah.
If they did it in a way that like they
Oh yeah.
mean each
Well, I
other.
love, yeah, when they enter New York, you just see it says New York, and then you see the Jatari and like all their like
Oh yeah, you see that you
the
see the
worms.
scene.
Yeah, exactly. And then you see like the Avengers, like the circle of like
yeah,
Hulk screaming,
like the iconic one
Black
from
Widow. Yeah, they're all look. Yeah, it's awesome.
Mhm.
It totally like romanticizes that whole the entire. It gives you nostalgia.
Yeah, it totally does. It's
Yeah,
really cool.
and that's like another reason that it makes it so good. And then I love, when they're mentioning like that, oh, that's America's ass, when Scott Lang
Yeah.
says that. That's
Yeah, he's
pretty funny.
funny.
The comedy's good in this one too.
Yeah, yeah.
Also,
And Iron Man has his new suit. It's like sort of the comic accurate gold arms and gold legs.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
pretty
no, that
cool.
one was good. Um, but yeah, I like that too, and I love the when Cap goes, he's they take the scepter, or not the scepter, when they take the cube or the tesseract, and he just goes, "No worry," and he goes, "Hail Hydra," and
Yeah.
that
Oh
scene
no,
is
yeah,
sick.
the elevator scene that calls back to Winter
It
Soldier.
totally calls back to
I
Winter
remember
Soldier.
I was expecting another elevator fight, which I thought would have been super cool.
Yeah, I think that would have been a little bit
But
better, but saying
but
Hail
since
Hydra, it's
Cap
smart. Yeah,
knew, it was really cool.
yeah, it was
And like
smart.
seeing the aftermath of like after Loki gets defeated up at Stark Tower.
Yeah, I love that too. I love
Yeah.
when they're like having the drink after they finally beat it. It's like, oh
Hmm.
yes, we're going up to lunch, and then we'll going back to Asgard, and that's like what
Yeah.
Thor says.
Right. They're going out to lunch, which is the post credit scene in
Yeah, we're getting shawarma.
yeah, yeah.
That's
It's a
pretty
lot of
funny.
funny stuff.
And with totally and Hulk, where Hulk, he's like, no more stairs.
Yeah.
Too many stairs. That's pretty funny. And then
Yeah.
Tony gets like totally just like thrown away. And those scenes are all really, really good too.
And then
Um,
we see Loki take the Tesseract and go somewhere, which
yeah,
then is where we're gonna. It's probably exactly where we're gonna pick up in the Loki timeline.
definitely. Yeah.
We're probably gonna see him like teleport.
Yeah, definitely.
So
That'd be pretty neat. But yeah, yeah, it's an interesting idea. It's totally.
and so like Hulk, Iron Man, and Captain America and Ant Man they went to New York. Um, and then Hawkeye and Black Widow they went to Vormir to get the Soul Stone, and
Yeah,
that's sadly where
Black Widow
Natasha,
dies.
yeah, she died.
How did you feel about that when Black Widow
I
died?
I thought it was like it was the logical choice. Like Hawkeye, he has a family,
Yeah, yeah, no,
and
that makes sense. And also the character, they kind of needed another character to die. If they just had Tony die,
right.
really, it
But
would
I
have
still
been.
feel like there's more left with Black Widow. Like heck, they're coming out with a new Black Widow movie,
Yeah,
which I'm pretty sure is going to be after Civil War and before Infinity War.
yeah, that's what it was. Because she's like going back to
Mhm.
revisit her past or whatever.
Yeah.
That's what she says. I was watching the trailer today again.
When's that
Um,
coming out? Is that coming out in May? Or
um,
I
it's
think it's
supposed
May.
to be coming out. I think it was. Yeah,
Hmm.
I think so. Are you excited for Black Widow?
I'm very excited for Black Widow. Excited to see I don't or what's his name Hopper from Stranger Things.
Yeah,
His
David
name,
Harbour.
yeah, him, David Harbour. He'll be
Yeah,
super cool in it, and then we'll see that new girl, Yelena Belova.
I
I
have
think her
no
name
idea.
is.
Yeah,
Well, she's in the comics. I read about her.
yeah, she's
So
yeah, but played by Florence
Florence Pugh.
Pugh. Pooh.
I
Yeah,
think it's Pugh.
Pooh.
Yep.
Pooh. It's actually Pooh.
Pugh. Yep.
Like it's pronounced Pooh,
Yeah.
bro.
Poor girl.
Yeah, jeez.
She's hot though. Have you? Hang on. Edit this out. She has she has some good scenes.
Nice. I see. I see.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm just taking out my Avengers Endgame notes. Yeah. How do you like Fat Thor?
Uh. Hello. Sorry.
How do you like Fat
Oh.
Thor?
I like it. I'm not the biggest fan of it. Or okay, so I liked it when I first saw him. Like, okay, yeah, he's struggling, but I was kind of expecting him to like have like some crazy workout scene where he just loses a bunch of weight.
Yeah, same. I was expecting like when he like puts on when his costume fully comes on and like
Yeah,
he is,
but I don't know. It is
I
kind of
was
cool.
expecting that all of a sudden he would just like lose the weight. Yeah.
Yeah, and also like although it was kind of cool when like his long beard got braided and like he got all these warrior braids. I thought that was sick.
I mean, I think that's kind of ridiculous. Like, I don't
So
understand how like
no,
how lightning can like convert your to braid your beard or whatever.
well, I don't. I mean, imagine like remember in Thor Ragnarok, he had the umbrella that he could transform into his hammer.
True. Yeah.
So
Yeah, I
yeah,
guess
and
so.
then I guess like will he be fat in Thor 4? Like there's
Yeah.
got to be something in that where
He's
he
gonna.
gets
He's also in Guardians of the Galaxy.
great Guardians 3.
Yeah, that'll be
That'll
sick.
that will
As
be.
Guardians of the Galaxy. Yeah, that'll be awesome.
Mm,
Um, yeah, definitely. How about Smart Hulk? How did you like
Smart
that?
Hulk. I like that actually.
You know
But
what?
I'm a little I was a little sad that like we didn't get to see Hulk because Hulk is like his own character now. There's Bruce and there's Hulk.
Exactly.
So like what happened to Hulk? I don't
I don't
know.
know. Yeah.
Maybe their consciousness is like combined.
Yeah.
They
They've.
became one.
I don't like how they didn't do like a sequel Hulk movie, which is too bad. I don't know if Mark Ruffalo's never gonna be in any more movies anymore.
Well he's gonna be in She-Hulk.
Yeah, I heard that. Yeah,
She-Hulk
I know
movie.
he's gonna be in
That
She-Hulk.
I mean
That'll
She-Hulk,
be good. I
I
love.
think.
I love Mark Ruffalo as Hulk.
Yeah.
He's great. He's solid. They're all solid. Like Robert Downey Jr. is basically Tony Stark in real life. Like if you
Yeah.
see any interviews, he like talks exactly like him. He acts
I know.
exactly like,
It's because
which I love.
Robert Downey Jr. like pretty much like kind of made Iron Man. Like
Yeah,
he
he
was
did. His personality, like
shaped.
before
Yeah.
he was even in Iron Man, was like Tony
Yeah.
Stark.
It's like John
So
Favreau wrote the role almost for him in
yeah,
Iron Man 1.
exactly. And Chris Evans is great because yeah, he's perfect. I think he's a great cast as that leader.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
but yeah, there's like Smart Hulk. I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
There's
find it funny. It's part of the comedic part of it. So is Fat Thor. I love the part where they're in the. This kind of I didn't even know Hulk said it until I watched it the second time. He
um
goes. He goes. He's like, Listen to your mother. Stay in school, kids. Dab. He just said
or
so subtle.
he's a Hulk dab. He
Yeah, he
says
goes Hulk dab. He's like
something.
dab or something like that. And that's hilarious. I
That
remember
was funny.
laughing seeing that. And yeah, and that's pretty good.
Well, it's
Is
so funny the CGI like Mark. It's you can easily tell it's Mark Ruffalo.
yeah,
It's just like
totally.
his
Over
face
yeah,
greened up and bigger.
yeah. The CGI though, I think the best CGI for Hulk is definitely in the original Avengers, I think.
You think?
I think it's the original Avengers is the best Hulk CGI. The
Well,
worst
I
is
think
like
I think some of the best Hulk scenes were in the original Avengers
yeah, I think so too.
because there weren't too many like
Avenger
amazing fight
Age of
scenes.
Ultron is pretty good too.
Yeah, and then even in Hulk, like in the Incredible Hulk 2008, it wasn't horrible,
It
but it
wasn't
was kind of
horrible.
it
Yeah, I
wasn't.
don't
It
know.
was
There
just a
was like,
different.
yeah,
It was
they,
different.
they like if you notice like the vein. There's a lot more like veins, and
Yeah,
you
like
can like
like
tell
on
the
his
muscles.
muscles, they're like vein like liney. You can
Yeah, you
kind
can
of
see all like his muscles like
yeah
flexing like crazy. Whereas like for the Avengers, it was more. It was just like puffy muscles and not as
yeah
much
yeah.
veins
I
on
wish
him.
that I wish that the Incredible Hulk sort of like because a lot of people don't even know that the Incredible Hulk 2008 is part of the MCU.
Oh yeah, I know. It's like,
So it's because
but
it's Edward Norton was the
exactly,
original.
exactly.
How would you feel if Edward Norton was still the Hulk?
I
Like
think it would
I
be fine. He's not bad at it. Like he's not though. I don't think he's that bad.
but I guess like Mark Ruffalo's like super good. I love Mark Ruffalo as
Yeah, no,
Hulk.
he's great. He's like that awkward, totally
Hmm.
awkward, complete opposite of what the Hulk is. Eh,
Yeah.
yeah, he's great. He's great in it. Um, yeah, and so I think we got to talk about though the final battle if we're
Oh yeah, the
gonna
massive.
pick it up. Yeah, so the final battle is pretty insane. After they get all the stones, Hulk is the one to snap his finger, and they're just destroyed. The thing that when I saw it, I was like, "Fuck, man!" Like they just got friggin' bombed. Like they just got like
Yeah.
totally bombed on by the ship, by
Right.
Thanos' ship.
But
And I thought
also,
they were all dead after that. I was like, ugh.
so, but yeah, the ship is interesting because what happens is that, like, what one of the things I read online is that Ebony Moss like took some of the pin particles like from somebody and then he reverse engineered them so that they have more pin particles to go from 2014 to 2023
Oh.
because I don't know, it's very confusing, but it's I
Yeah,
don't know, but
because
it's
like I was like gonna say like they could bring a entire ship like with
right, yeah,
everyone back in, and I guess they were able to do it.
yeah. But
But
that was
yeah,
kind of weird how I thought that was weird how the whole ship went through time in the quantum realm.
yeah, it's also like ridiculous how like nobody died when they like got
Yeah.
totally bombed.
Well, okay, so Captain America, Super Soldier, Thor, God of Thunder, and Iron Man, they all like everybody had protection
Yeah, I don't
except
know.
for like Hawkeye,
Rocket is like
Rocket. Yeah.
Ant-Man. I think he's fine because he's just so
Yeah,
small
no,
that it's like
he shrunk as soon as the blast hit.
yeah. So I think he was like pretty much fine
Mhm.
after that. The one thing, yeah, and yeah, I totally get that. But the best scene I think is when the three of them, Thor,
Oh
Iron
yeah,
Man,
when
and
they all three
and
face
Captain
off against
America, they're
Thanos.
facing
Yep.
off against Thanos is just
Hmm.
awesome. And there's so many like big deal comic book things that go
Yeah.
on in this um in this scene. You see like it's that nostalgia again from the original Avengers of Thor, um, Captain America and Iron Man when they fought each other in the original
Oh
Avengers,
yeah.
and then it comes back to that in Avengers Endgame fighting off Thanos. And that's a
Hmm.
little bit like a little reflection and character development, seeing how they're finally working together to defeat this guy and finally kill him properly. And that's when friggin' Mjolnir, he yields Mjolnir.
Oh, that's
That
right.
was awesome. I was
When
freaking out.
I know, I remember you. I remember. I remember
Yeah,
everybody in the theater was just
everyone in the theater
yelling.
is going insane, man.
And
Insane.
there's so many clips online. Just every theater is
Yeah, it's
like
like
that.
theaters reacting to um,
Hmm.
Captain America lifting up Thor's hammer. And we see it in Age of Ultron when he's lifting it up too, where he can like almost lift it up.
Right.
And Joe and it, yeah,
He moved it.
yeah, and Joe and Anthony Russo state and they talk about how they were able to how they he could actually lift it up. He
Right.
could have, but he's doing it just so. Yeah, go ahead.
He could yeah, exactly what you were saying. He could have lifted it up, but he wanted to protect like Thor's ego or
Yeah,
something.
exactly. Because, but like, I think Vision kind of destroys that ego
Yeah.
when he
Vision
just
didn't
like,
care.
yeah, he doesn't. He
That's
just passes it.
interesting how Vision can lift it up.
Yeah,
That's
I
like
know.
another
Yeah,
topic, but
yeah. We'll talk about
yeah.
more of that late in a bit. But yeah, that whole scene is just it's great.
Right.
It's
And
so
then
good. The whole fight scene, it's got that,
oh yeah.
and
And then like the portals
I
when
that the score, yeah, yeah.
Iron Man's down, Thor's down, it's just Captain America like getting ready to face the entire army by himself.
Did you notice that when I noticed this when I was watching today, and when Captain America he straps his i- what his shield, and he toggles it, I guess, or he like makes sure it's in place properly. You can see his bone sticking out.
His bone.
Yeah,
What? Oh,
there's like a cut.
I knew he had a big gash on his arm,
Yeah, and
but
you can kind of see the bone, and
oh
yeah,
wow.
and but that's when like he's has to face off, and he has no other hope. Nobody else is
Yeah.
there, and finally here's
Falcon. Yep,
Falcon.
Sam
Yeah,
Wilson on
on
the
your left,
comms.
on your left. It's awesome.
Crazy.
It is awesome, and he finally it's yeah, and all the characters are there. When I saw that scene, I was definitely tearing up, freaking out. Even though you knew it was gonna happen, you're like, oh my
Yeah.
god, they're back.
Well, we didn't know how it was gonna happen. Like,
Exactly. Well, because you're completely distracted by the fact that he snapped. and they should be back.
Oh yeah.
When I'm watching it, I'm like, oh my, yeah, oh shit, I forgot. Hulk snapped and brought everybody back.
Yeah.
And so then you see the portals open. You see T'Challa, Okoye, Shiri. Um, it's awesome, and that perfect score is played, and
Yeah.
you
Oh yeah.
see,
That's like the song is called Portals. It's so
yeah, and you
dramatic.
see, yeah,
So
it's so
good.
good, and you see Cap tearing up just a little bit. And every time I
Mhm.
watch that scene, I tear up definitely because it's
Yeah.
so great to see those characters and finally be able to defeat Thanos. And I remember just they do such a great job at like building it up for the audience. Spider-Man's coming in. You
Yeah.
see
He
Star
swings
Lord again. He
in.
swings in. You see Star Lord coming in. You see you
Just
see
everybody.
Pepper
Everybody who
Potts. Pepper
died.
Potts, yeah, she's in it
Yep.
too.
Yeah, she's in that with her rescue armor.
Yeah,
So
exactly. And
that's kind of cool.
it's really cool. It's awesome. Um, and they line up together and they go and
Oh yeah. And
Cap
then it's like
goes,
bump 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 bump. And it's just like
yeah.
that crazy thing.
They're
And
lining up to
Avengers.
fight off
Yeah.
Thanos, and he
Oh,
goes, "Avengers, assemble!" And
simple.
then you hear the "Roar!" and then it
Yeah.
finally plays that great music, and it goes
Oh yeah.
da 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 da. It's
Yeah.
perfect,
And it's like the
perfect.
whole battle is so huge. Like with the gauntlet, they're like playing football with it,
Yeah,
going back and
exactly.
forth.
Yeah, that's so great.
Hmm.
Um, I definitely have to say, yeah, it's awesome. It's such a great final battle. You see in every character finally. Whereas in Infinity War, it's like two battles, two different
Hmm.
battles.
It's
Where
all one
in
now.
this one, it's everyone together, everyone finally playing, fighting off Thanos and his army.
Hmm.
Um,
And you know what scene was my favorite scene?
what?
The scene where all of the strong women came together. No
I
men.
knew you were gonna say that. That was okay. We'll have to talk about that. I'll talk about that in a bit. Let's finish this. Let's
Yeah,
finish talking
okay.
about
Yeah.
Endgame,
Yeah.
and then we can
Sorry.
talk about that. No worries, no worries. But because I definitely want to talk about that, definitely. And so finally, though, you see Tony is he snaps his fingers and he does it. And
Yeah. Well, I mean, Thanos finally gets the thing, but then Captain Marvel comes in. She goes, messes with Thanos.
yeah, doesn't really
He
do
gets,
anything. Yeah,
she gets socked super hard because Thanos like
yeah, with the
has the
Power
Power
Stone.
Stone.
Yeah, and
So
but Tony does
mm,
that awesome quote. He goes,
yeah,
"I am inevitable." He goes, "I am Iron Man." And
yeah.
Tony
But
sacrifices his life. He makes a sacrifice play, as said in the original Avengers. Because Cap says you're not the guy to make the sacrifice play, whereas he finally does that and he makes a sacrifice play.
mm,
I got to talk about the yeah, and so it's Pepper says you can rest now, and
oh yeah,
Tony dies,
that
and
was so sad.
it's so terrible. It's so sad. There's another scene though that a deleted scene of them all
They
kneeling.
kneel.
Yeah, and I think that would have been great. I would have loved to see that if they added that in.
I mean, I watched it. It was a little, eh. I
Yeah,
think I think it was almost better to leave it out.
yeah, yeah.
Uh,
I know you. Yeah, maybe. I might argue with that in a little bit, but
yeah,
yeah, and the funeral is that man is like
funeral.
he has
Yeah.
that Tony Stark has that monologue that he has throughout the entire funeral, and I'm just
Oh yeah, the
freaking
recording
I'm
from
crying the
Logan.
entire time. This morning when I was watching it, I was just
Really.
tearing up, man, because it is so
Yeah.
sad.
And it
And
goes to everybody and
yeah, and we could talk about the emotional part of it because it is pretty. The whole two movies that build up to this final thing, the whole last
of course
10
the
years
whole MCU led up to it.
that it's built up is pretty intense. We'll talk about that in a
Hmm.
minute, but yeah, it has a pretty good ending. But I think it's time that we compare the two. Now that we talked
Yeah.
about the whole idea and the parts of the movie that are good and bad, what we liked, what we disliked. I think it's the idea we got to compare the two. Which
Hmm.
one is better? Obviously, there is no one that is better, but I think we got to decide what one we think is better. And maybe that will influence the viewers to change their opinion or whatever. But I think if I'm going to speak on terms of action, then I think the winner for action has to be Infinity War for me. And I think the reason for that is because where this scene has two battles, it's got one on it's got one in Wakanda and then one on Titan. I love the whole plan that Peter Quill creates and that whole plan that they have, which is really good. Spider-Man's involved with that, and Spider-Man will always be like probably one of my favorite characters. Anything Spider-Man's in, I'll
Yep.
see. And then
Yep.
whereas on Wakanda, you have Thor coming in with Stormbreaker, and that is probably what makes it the best for me. And
Right. Like
and
that scene, like we talked about
it
before.
yeah, it's probably the best. I'm not gonna say it's better than Cap with Mjolnir and uh, how he can lift Thor's hammer, but think uh, I think Stormbreaker coming in might just be a little bit better because it's just you see him, he's so passionate. He goes, "Bring me Thanos." That scene's just awesome. It's great. And but I think the action is better in Infinity War. Thanos is a killing machine. He can fight too. Um, I think it's better in Infinity War for that sake. What about you? The action.
Yeah, so the action, it's I think there's more I think there's more action in Infinity War, like except for the final battle. Like the two final battles, or at least the one in Wakanda
Yeah,
and the one in Endgame. Like the one in Endgame is bigger and
yeah,
of course, but I I don't know. It's so hard to say. I think I'm also gonna go Infinity War just because there were all the little fights, like the train station where Captain America first shows up.
yeah.
That was sick. And
And,
uh
and it's also involving more characters like Ebony Maw, and there's in Proxima Midnight and Corvus Glaive and whatever the big guy's name is. It's like,
yeah,
yeah, and those scenes too, where those characters are fighting, and they add that in, whereas it's just in the final battle, which is like the big scene. I think the action is best in Infinity War. Um, how about the character development? What do you think is better?
I think Endgame has more character development just kind of because, or not just because, but one of like the big reason is that there's a much smaller cast of characters who were following the whole film.
Yeah, true. Because
And
yeah,
yeah,
what do you think? Okay, yeah, I'd have to say there's better character development in I think it's Endgame too because you see Fat Thor, and but he's training and becoming better over this past 5 years, and he's just making he's become he wants to be the better man. He wants to put on the Infinity Gauntlet. He wants to destroy Thanos, but he's dealt with so much in his life, and his character is just constantly developing. And same with the Hulk's character. He's like turned into a completely different guy now, which is pretty intense. What
right.
about yeah,
It's
which is pretty good. Yeah. Um, what about plot? What plot is better, you think?
plot. I think Infinity War's plot is better.
Damn, we're just agreeing on everything right now. Yeah,
Yeah.
I gotta say, because I love the whole story of going along with Thanos. You're on a trip
Yeah,
with
I
Thanos.
know.
I love that. It's awesome. There's no
It's
time
cool. It's like
travel involved. Yeah.
following the villain.
There's a couple times in Endgame where I just go, okay, this is a little
Yeah.
long. Like the scene where they're where they go back in like the 60s, I think it was. Yeah, the 60s,
Yeah.
where they go to the Shield,
Okay.
where they're with where Cap and Iron Man when they go back in time,
You're
and
right. Yeah, know
that's
what
a
you're
little
talking
bit
about.
long. It just was for me. I don't know. It's um
Yeah. I don't know. I really like the story, and I like how they use time travel in Endgame. But just Infinity War is overall better with
they're
like
really good at
all the
spreading out the
stories.
whole parts of each character's, like how they're meeting up together to fight Thanos eventually.
Yeah,
You know,
exactly.
because there's Guardians, there's Cap, Sam, Wilson, Natasha Romanoff,
Yeah,
Black
like the
Widow,
The
with
Wakanda crew,
Wakanda crew, yeah,
the
and then there's
Titan
Titan
crew, and
crew.
then Thor, Groot, and Rocket are the other.
Yeah, and then they're all paced out so perfectly,
Hmm.
and they finally bringing them together, but sadly they die, and that's what is so good. That final scene where um of Infinity War is also, I think, better than Endgame because it's I tear up just watching Thanos sitting on the porch,
Oh man, that final
like
scene with
where
the
he's
I
sitting on the
love
porch.
that music
Yeah, the
on
music
the
is
porch.
freaking beautiful.
Yeah,
On the
the
He's sitting on the
violin.
porch, he's got like the retirement plan basically, and he's
Hmm.
just looking out at the sunset at his accomplishments. He's finally done what he wanted to do
Yeah.
all along, and he's completed his mission. And I remember going out and just like where there's another next movie gonna happen too. Whereas with the end game, you're like, oh man, it's over. Whereas for Infinity War, there's still gonna be another one, but you're also like, fuck, man, that was insane. That was crazy. That was like you have such a different emotion that you've usually felt. Whereas like in Endgame, you have that comfort, and okay, well, you're heartwarm. It's heartwarming. Everyone's has a happy ending. Iron Man's character fully developed. He's good. He's good to go. And then you look at Infinity War, and you've never felt that before because half of the characters are dead now. You don't know what happened to them. Spider Man's gone, and so that's what makes it the better plot and the better ending. I'd say that ending is better. What do you think? What about the best intro? What movie? Infinity War Endgame has the best intro to the film.
Right. We already went over this, but
Oh yeah,
I still think it's Endgame. Like
yeah,
just like because that was the huge mystery at the end of Infinity War. Like what's gonna
yeah,
happen to Iron Man and Nebula?
yeah.
And
True.
then we see it, and like Iron Man, he like almost dies, and then
Yeah,
Captain Marvel comes and saves them.
we kind of talked about the comedy part of it too, but a little bit. But which movie do you think has the best comedy? Infinity War, Endgame?
Infinity War because like the Guardians are in it.
Yeah,
Uh, but
definitely.
there's some like of course there's like comedic scenes in both of them.
Yeah, I think Infinity War definitely has the best
Hmm.
comedy. Again, with the Guardians of the Galaxy. Also, I love I think again with the intro um where Iron Man and Doctor Strange, they have their confrontation. They're good against each other, and Spider Man's coming, and Spider Man's hilarious too. He's like
Hmm.
that got that comedic charm to him,
Right.
and that's what's really good about it. Um,
Right. And Endgame was like a more serious movie.
it
Like
is. It's a little bit darker.
yeah,
Um, definitely. Yeah. What do you think has the better acting? Infinity War, Endgame. I'd gotta say Endgame.
I think so too. But like when I watch these Marvel movies, it's not really acting that I'm watching.
Yeah.
It's not like the Joker where we're like seeing Walking Phoenix like
Yeah.
do this
That's
amazing
true.
job.
I think it's the writing too. The writing, it's kind of sometimes at parts the writing is kind of cheesy, and that changes the acting performance
Mhm.
a little bit. But obviously, you got to look at the acting too
Right, but
because
like so like Robert Downey Jr. acted super good. He
yeah,
did the
his
end.
performance is great. It's
Mhm.
it's captivating, and you yeah, exactly. He's got to make that decision of, is he going to just, he's got this whole plan of, he can do the time traveling. He knows how to properly bring back everyone, but should he do this because it's so scary and he could kill himself, in this time in that happening.
Hmm.
And that whole part where he's like he lost how he lost Peter, and he's talking in the Avengers HQ, and he's all skinny and frail. That scene's great.
Yeah.
Um, the performances are good, and I think that's a little thing that awards and like Oscars and Golden Globes overshadow. Like those performances are incredible. Like
Hmm.
they're
But
great.
it's kind of only Robert Downey Jr.'s that stands out to me.
Yeah, I think I think who has a good performance is Scarlett Johansson. Her performance is really good. Same with Hawkeye. Hawkeye's lost his like
Yeah,
entire family, and it's
Jeremy Renner did
Jeremy
good.
Renner's great. And I mean, I wouldn't say like he deserved an Oscar nomination, but I'm sure like uh, Robert Downey Jr. He's held this entire like he's like literally has this entire thing on his shoulders almost like a lot of it,
Mhm.
a big part of it. And for like even for Endgame not to be nominated for like Best Picture at the Oscars is ridiculous. I think because it takes so much like energy and cooperation to make this movie work and make it successful and make people like it. There's a lot of like studios that don't know how to make a superhero movie. Looking at DC,
Yeah,
Justice League is not that good. It's not.
I heard like there were some
Snyder
early
Cut, I'm
reviews
sure I've heard
of the
good
Snyder
reviews.
Cut. Yeah,
Yeah, I've heard a lot of good reviews with
I'm
Snyder
gonna
Cut.
watch that.
Yeah. Um,
But
but yeah, it's
mm,
definitely good.
yeah,
Um, but I think it's a pretty emotional thing. I've been watching these Marvel movies since I was like 8, earlier, like
and
6 or 7.
what was the first movie you saw in theaters? Do you remember?
I think it was Iron Man 2. I saw it.
Was
Yes, it
it?
was. I didn't see the original Iron Man. I was like 4, so I wouldn't have
Okay.
really been
Yeah,
able to.
I think I might have seen Captain America: The First Avenger.
Yeah. I didn't
Yeah.
see Captain America the First Avenger. I saw Iron Man 2. I remember seeing that and I loved it.
Yeah, man.
Obviously you love it. Then
Yeah, I mean, I think Iron Man 2 is a little underrated. Like, apart from Whiplash is the villain,
yeah.
whatever. But
Yeah.
yeah,
And you're on this entire journey, and I'm so happy that I'm at the age where I'm literally a kid and being able to watch these great superhero movies that are so good. Each one is good, like and great. Like
mm,
there are some that are like, Thor the Dark World and Iron
Thor,
Man
yeah.
2 is like gotten bad reviews. Captain America the First Avenger is like okay.
For
Um I know like
yeah,
I mean, yeah, there's like some that are not that good. But like all of them are like hold up, and they're all like look at Rotten Tomatoes, the reviews are always good. There's never been a rotten Marvel movie.
no,
um and I just love them. They're and they've been a part of my life, and so when you see it all come to an end, the end of an era, it's really really emotional. And
mhm,
Joe and Anthony Russo do such a great job at that, and that's what makes me love it so much, and it'll always be a part of my life for it'll always be a part of my life. Yeah, I'll always like have the memory of going to see these movies as a kid, and I'll be proud to tell my children when I'm
right.
older
Like,
about.
will there be something like this when, like, in 50 or 70 years?
I
Like,
don't think
maybe
so.
not.
I don't think so. I think yeah, I'm gonna be honest. I don't think they'll ever be able to do what they did in the last 10 years. The build up to Endgame. I don't think
I
Marvel
know.
will be able to do that
Like, I
again.
mean,
They
I
won't. They
think
won't. I don't think they can.
maybe if they like really do a crazy good job with like the X-Men and the Fantastic Four,
They could
I
do something like
think
that. They maybe could, but it's never been done like this before.
no,
Be able to like do this entire series, like James Bond has done it, but they've done it over like 50 years. They
right,
started doing it in the 60s. They've made
right.
like 22 movies or something like that
I don't even
in like
know.
10 years, and that's insane.
Yeah,
That's pretty crazy.
I
And to
know.
be able to do that and to have that as a kid, just getting ready. Oh, next year it's going to be Ant-Man. Oh, next year it's going to be Captain America the Winter Soldier. I'm so excited for that. I hear the Falcon's going to be in that.
Hmm.
It's awesome. It's and you get to watch like what's going to happen next, and finally Endgame. I don't think anything will ever be able to top what Endgame did in like the amount of intensity and authenticity just it's created for everyone. You know, by the time I'll be able to see like the next Endgame or whatever, the next
Oh yeah, we'll be
Infinity War,
old.
we'll be pretty old. So we'll be in our probably 30s. Like by the time
Well,
it's then, it
if
could
it,
be.
yeah, who knows? Like phase 4, phase 5.
I don't know. I'm excited for the next Spider-Man though. That'll be good.
Oh
That's coming
yeah,
out
that's
this
coming
year.
out this year. That's right.
But yeah, and I think yeah, and that's why every time I watch it, you know, you get so emotional with it because it's the end of an era and it's the end of that series. It's the um you know, Iron Man's done, Cap's done, Hulk's I'm pretty much done, I think.
Uh,
Thor's still got a couple movies left, but yeah,
yeah. I, who
yeah.
knows where it'll go from here?
They're pretty great movies though. They're pretty good.
Hmm.
Well, I think that's it though. To sum them
Yeah,
all up, we really
it's
talked.
good.
Been here for a
Yeah,
while,
it
but
was good.
yeah, it was a good conversation though.
Fine. Mm-hmm.
Thanks for coming on the show. And
Thanks for having me.
no problem. All right, guys. Make sure to like and subscribe. You guys can follow me on Instagram at There Will Be Movie Reviews. Um, this is our latest episode. I'll be having an episode next week. But yeah, make sure to follow me on Spotify and Amazon Music. I have a TikTok page too, same name. There will be movie reviews, and you should make sure to check that out. So thanks for listening, everyone, and I'll see you next time. Thank you, Noah.
Yeah, thanks for having me. All right, bye.
See you guys.